Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How the CEO of Dragonfly Energy is about to get it. I'm your host, Louis Rossman. I told him that he needed to drop this frivolous lawsuit that he made against the YouTube reviewer that made honest reviews of his products. And one of the problems that I'm noticing among battery companies is they tend to have different things on their websites at different times, and it is something that's starting to really fucking piss me off. What I noticed about Deep Cycle Systems, another piece of shit company in Australia that decided to sue a good friend of mine, Stephen Fisher, because he published an honest review. This over here says March 25th, 2022, and when we scroll down over here, you'll notice that we have something different. The battery will be determined to be defective if it fails to deliver less than 80% of its rated capacity during the warranty period. And if I search for the number 70 in my browser, you'll notice that it never shows up. So over here, you can see that this is the policy. Policy last updated June 14th, 2021, no change in date. If I take a look over here, this is October 28th, 2022. We have the same thing, 80%, never mentioned 70. If we take a look over here, we have March 9th, 2023, still is 80. And then when we click over here, you'll notice that on November 7th, 2023, and when we scroll down to the bottom of the website, you'll see that it still says policy last updated June 14th, 2021. You lying fucking scumbags. I fucking dare you to sue me for defamation. So many people whose battery capacity dropped to 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 74% were not able to get warranty service. And many of these people did not have access to that archival website because many of us still live in a world that we believe is honest. We don't think that right after we buy the product that we have to come up with a fucking offline host of a company's website and their warranty and their product terms and conditions so that they cannot change them into the future to not cover the product if it's faulty. DCS lost their case. Dragonfly Energy is about to as well. What am I talking about here? So let me just let Will Prowse, the person who's getting sued, explain it first. I'm going to let him show you these batteries and show you the quality of them, and I'll give you some of my thoughts before we dig into the text of the lawsuit.
Today I'm covering a huge problem with Battleborn batteries. If you have one of these, it might not be safe to use, so please watch the video. The problem that people are reporting is the main positive terminal is overheating. So one of my forum members sent one out so I could test it myself. I connected a charger, and in a few minutes it was already overheating. So I continued the test and I got it up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit on this terminal. That is not okay. And then it would randomly cut off. It would totally disconnect power. And I was like, what is going on? So I went through the forum posts and the messages from other members experiencing this, and they said that if you push the terminal to the side, it will make connection inside and it will start charging or discharging again. So we have a bad connection inside the battery, and not only is it causing it to overheat, but it's also causing it to intermittently disconnect. He has 3 of these batteries and it's doing it on all 3 of them. And look at the color of the epoxy. This comes bright red and it's so damaged by heat that it's a different color now. And it's cracking. Guys, it got so hot it melted the plastic cell holders. And here is the problem. The main terminal is connected with this bolt and these nuts. And over time, it works itself loose. Especially for mobile applications. I could see if this is in a van or an RV, this is going to go loose much faster. I wonder what Battleborn will do to fix this. Also, it's probably overheating these cells. It looks like all of these are loose, actually. And all the current has to go through this bolt because this is not touching the bus bar. That is dangerous. If you have these in your possession, I don't think you should use them. And this one's loose too. Oh, but this one won't overheat because the conductors are connected directly to the terminal. But on this one, that little bolt is all that's holding it together, so it has a good electrical connection. That is scary. That is not good. Holy cow, I didn't know it was that bad. And all the temperatures that I recorded were on the outside of the pack. Imagine how hot it's getting inside to actually melt plastic. There's deformation all the way over here on the BMS holder. That is a lot of heat. Jeez. This whole bus bar changed color compared to the other bus bar. And if this is changing color and it's connected to these cells, yeah, this is so bad. Yeah, this is dangerous, guys. If you have one of these, take it out of your system. This is not safe to use. I hope Battleborn comes out with a solution because they need to. Also, if you ever have a problem with any solar product ever, please send it my way and I'll make a video. I'll do all the proper testing, I'll rip it apart, and I'll find a solution. For this, there is no solution. You need to remove this from your system. This is not safe to use.
I agree with Will. I don't think that that's safe to use, and I would not want to pay top dollar for that. In fact, I would not pay $1 for that. That is useless to me. This is absolute garbage. I would not want this in my house. I would not want this in my boat. I would not want this in my car or my RV or anything. This does not belong in a solar setup. In my opinion, this belongs in an e-waste classifying facility. That's it. Now, how do you think they responded to this complaint and the complaints of many other people that have brought up these issues, including the class action lawsuit that is being filed against them right now, the Birdner versus Dragonfly Energy, which is one of the, I think the plaintiff, it looks like, is one of the biggest people in the industry. He is the president of the PVICC. He has worked with NEC and the Underwriters Laboratory to create many of the UL standards we use today. Do you think that they're going to say, okay, maybe we got something wrong? No, it's not a bug. You see the thing melting and oxidizing and looking like that. That's a feature. I shit you not. They're saying that this is not a bug, it's a feature. They literally wrote an entire section of their website explaining that this is not a bug, this is a feature.
So here's the email. One of our 4 members got this in response, and it's from Matthew Adams from Dragonfly Energy Systems or Battleborn Batteries. To address questions that have recently surfaced about terminal heating and fastener design, it is important to highlight that what some observers view as failure is a safety device working exactly as intended. The aluminum nut used in our 100 amp hour pack's positive terminal is a purpose-built thermal failsafe. It is engineered so that the plastic deforms and disconnects when excess heat is present at the terminal. What in here is disconnecting? Let's read that again. It is engineered so that the plastic deforms or melts and disconnects when excess heat is present at the terminal. Having intermittent failure and disconnect is not a failsafe mechanism. That is a failure.
Now, people in their forum have brought up that this seems like an example of retrospective engineering, which is something happened that's horrible, and instead of saying, oh yeah, my bad, we screwed up, oh yeah, that's intended to work that way. And as J.D. Warren says, on a related note, if this wasn't completely retrospective ass-covering bullshit, surely they could dig up the original design documents that describe the reliance on oxidation as a feature. I don't know how many people have decided to read through all of this. I did. This is why I'm releasing this video on Sunday instead of on Friday, because I decided to try and really dig deep to figure out if I could find any proof of them ever advertising this feature before they got called out for their batteries melting. And I could not. Some of the documents that I went through. The 2017 BB10012 Manual and Installation Guide, no mention of a safety terminal. The Heat Enable Instruction Guide, no mention of a safety terminal. Dragonfly's Form S1 discussing product safety, also no evidence of a safety terminal. In December 28, 2023, Dragonfly has a patent application with a thermal fuse. It describes a thermal interrupt built on a different reversible principle. And I quote, based on a difference in the thermal coefficients of expansion, the insulating component may expand axially relative to the electrodes with increasing temperature. So the device may, and I quote, transition between an open and closed configuration as temperature rises and falls. The technical node's production terminal works the opposite way, by a polymer that softens at a shutdown that is permanently and irreversible by design. So they're bragging about this as a safety feature, yet in their patents, where you would expect that they're just going to go soup to nuts and everything that makes their product unique and amazing, they don't mention it. They actually mention the exact opposite as a feature. The Tiffin Motorhomes component manual for the Dragonfly does not go over any of this. And then on December of 2025, Will Prowse publishes his video. In February 2026, there was a class action lawsuit made against them that says that this positive terminal is a universal design defect and fire safety hazard. And that's when they finally say, look, it's a feature, not a bug. If there's a feature of my products and it is a safety feature and I'm selling a product where one of the primary selling points would be its safety, like a gigantic battery, wouldn't I be selling this product with that safety feature? Wouldn't that be a bullet point on my website? Wouldn't that be somewhere in the instruction manual, in the patent, anywhere? Do you find it a little bit weird that we can't find any mention of this safety feature in the past documented 9 years of this company's history? Back to Will.
Now here is a power supply that can charge this battery. We have it set to 14.6 volts and 95.65 amps. This is what I use for testing, and let's see what happens when we hook it up. Uh-oh, I just heard something. That was arcing. So let's turn it on, and now we're charging with 95 amps. And let's zoom in and see what's happening. There is arcing inside. That is not a disconnect. Show me any UL listed device that allows for arcing after it's supposed to disconnect. That's ridiculous. If I hold it still, it will get crazy hot. It's getting hot right now. And right now we're at 202 degrees Fahrenheit. And the temperature is rising. And the connection is so bad, we're not charging with 95 amps anymore. We're charging with 60 amps. And yesterday, I got this plastic to smoke even more. So we're getting more of this safety feature by deforming the plastic, and it's getting worse. This protects the internal cell structure by interrupting the current, preventing further heat buildup and thermal runaway. That is absolutely and utterly false. It is not interrupting the current, it is still arcing and there's still current going through it. Next, there's more heat buildup and we can measure it. This safeguard exists for conditions created in the field, such as loose external connections, systems operating outside specification, or uncontrolled short circuits. It is one of several intentional protective mechanisms within our packs and is necessary for our UL listing standards. Next, with loose external connections, you think that you want to get this hot enough for this plastic to melt from a loose external connection for this to not work? That is plain silly. This is not something that's reliable. Next, systems operating outside specification. Again, add a fuse. Also, the BMS has safety features, including overcurrent protection. Now, if there was a BMS failure and this couldn't disconnect and there was a shorted MOSFET, then sure, I could say, this was probably abused with an inductive load, but it's not. Everything works perfectly. What does not work is this. The overcurrent protection device is not disconnecting anything. And the final one is uncontrolled short circuits. What does that actually mean? Uncontrolled. If you have a short circuit, you need to have a protection device because you're not there to control it. You need to have a fuse or a circuit breaker that's UL listed. If a laboratory is passing this as an overcurrent protection device, they need to be investigated. This is not disconnecting. It is not. And if this is the last safety mechanism and it's not disconnecting, then this is not a safety feature. This design prevents heat from migrating into the cell stack, meaning it is designed to stop conditions that could otherwise create a thermal runaway event. That is absolutely and utterly false. Look at the color of this bus bar. Everything on here is overheating these cells, and it's not disconnecting. It is still arcing. This is 100% an issue. To say that this is a safety feature is wild to me. I've heard people say this. I've heard other channels say this before, and I was like, what are these guys talking about? And now the company also says it as well. And I'm not buying it. Look at it. Just look at it. Open up more batteries. We're going to get more people to post these and we're going to make complaints. This is not okay. And if a lab certified this and said that it conforms to a standard, I question that. I think they should be investigated. You could show this video to any electrical professional and ask them, do you think this is a good design? I don't think they're going to agree with it. Whoa! That was a big arc. Holy cow. Even say visible damage at the terminal is typically the result of the safety feature activating. If there's so much heat that it's changing the color of the terminal, that is not a safety feature. Imagine if I said that about a breaker on my home's panel. I'm like, oh yeah, it melted. That's just a safety feature. No, that's not acceptable. Now, something we noticed on the forum is that when people posted a Battleborn problem, there would be a video accompanied by it, and then it would be removed from YouTube randomly. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it seems a little fishy. I've been to their company and they seem like nice people, but that just seems a little weird. And those posts are still on the forum. Look for yourself. Now, luckily with my channel and my forum, we keep the information up. I deal with these companies all the time. And since I did the first review on this, I've opened up like 100 batteries. So I'm used to this now. And this right here is a problem. I don't think there was a single comment saying that it wasn't a problem on my video. Everybody agrees. Somebody at Battleborn does not want to admit this. And it is a problem. If I say something stupid, there's 100 engineers to correct me. But this one, nobody corrected me. This is straight to the point. You just zoom in and show people what's wrong. It's not disconnecting. It's creating a loose connection. And that's the problem. Having something loose is not a disconnect. That's not okay.
The point you made about the home electrical panel is a great one. If I looked in my home electrical panel, the breaker flipping is how I know that I'm safe, not by the breaker melting. If the breaker is melting and components are changing colors inside of it, that is not okay.
So unfortunately, I found a new problem. So with the new machine, I cycled it 7 times. In the first 2 times, I pulled full capacity. But then on the third cycle, I pulled 76 amp hours and I was confused. Why did this happen? So I tested it again and I got 68 amp hours. And these tests were back to back. So it was getting worse. So I thought, hey, maybe it's getting too hot and the BMS is cutting it out. So I let the battery cool down and I tested it again. And then I got 103 amp hours and I was like, great, it's working again. So right after this test, I tested it again and I got 50 amp hours. And that was so bad, so I tested it right after and I got 70 amp hours. So if you do back-to-back testing, you don't get the full capacity. This thing has a high temperature disconnect and it shuts down. But how can I do my testing if we can't get the full capacity? So now we have a new problem. Keep in mind that the cycling I've done is charging at 49 amps and discharging with 99 amps. So we're using it as advertised. But if you do it back to back, you're not going to get the full capacity. And this is winter time. This is not in a hot environment. This shop stays at 75 degrees all year round for these tests because these batteries like that temperature. Now between the first test and the second test, I went to sleep. So it actually got to cool down and I pulled full capacity. And then the next day, I did this test right after this one, and guess what? It disconnected short. Now, if this is certified to a UL standard, how did they not catch this? It's rated on the sticker, on the battery for 100 amps, but I can't pull that. And I'm getting consistent results. There's no surprises here. Take your own Battleborn if you have one and do this test. I really want to cut into it, but we need to get some more cycles on here. So I ordered a cycle machine so we can put 100 or 1,000 cycles on this. This thing's rated for 3,000 to 5,000 cycles. We're already having problems on the 7th cycle. That's not good. But once I cycle it a lot, then we can open it up and check this terminal and see if it's having the same issue. Now currently I have over 20 batteries being offered to me to make a video on that has a failure, but I don't know how it was used. And I want to cycle it as advertised and then open it up on camera to see what has happened.
Everything you've seen so far are just batteries that people send him. You don't know what happens to them. Now, let's see what happens when he does this test on a battery that he purchases with his own money and tries on screen. This is a battery that he bought brand new and decided to test, and he's going to show you exactly how he runs the tests.
So I have an update for the Battleborn battery. I bought it brand new with my own money to recreate the overheating positive terminal issue. And I put 30 cycles on it, and guess what? It literally melted. And it's not the positive terminal, it's something else. And today we're going to continue testing it. Now I bought this battery brand new so I know it wasn't abused. I used the proper size conductors, I torqued it to the recommended spec, I used the voltage that they recommend, and I used under the continuous discharge current and under the continuous charge current. I did everything by the book and I didn't even test the surge or anything else. And for the first 2 cycles, I pulled full capacity. So I thought, hey, everything's working great. And then every cycle after that, it kept overheating. And at first, it was very predictable. I would let the battery cool and then I could pull full capacity. But if I did back to back, it would overheat and then it would disconnect. And it was working how it's supposed to. But then it kept getting worse. And I did 30 cycles manually back to back. And by the 30th cycle, I couldn't even pull more than 5 amp hours out of this thing. And the charging was getting crazy. It kept disconnecting randomly. I couldn't even do the testing. I couldn't even cycle it. I thought, hey, maybe this thing's dead. Now, all of that testing was at 49 amps charge and 99 amps discharge. So I lowered it down to see what would happen. So in the last cycle, I pulled 80 amps and I pulled a lot more capacity, but it didn't trip the over temperature circuit and it melted the case. But realize that all the problems I've been talking about is with the positive terminal. I don't even know what's going on under here. So today we're going to cycle it with 80 amps and we'll see how much it melts. I'll have a fire extinguisher next to it. But just to get this case to this temperature to melt this bad is pretty severe. So let's test this thing out and see what happens. So unfortunately, for the last hour, I've been trying to get this thing to work, but it's totally toast. It will not charge and it will not discharge for more than a second. And I tried it on all 3 machines. So over here, we have it set to 60. I press on, we draw 1 amp for a second, and then it instantly disconnects. So we need to open this thing up and see what happened. Woo! Holy cow, this thing is burnt! All of these are completely loose, and it is charred to a crisp. It's all because this plastic melted, just like on the positive terminal. All of this melted inside as well, and it's right on the cell. All right, we need to cut it open more because this is horrible. And it almost burned a hole through the case. Holy cow. Having plastic holding bolts for conductors is not a smart idea, guys. This is such a bad design. It's crazy. And imagine how hot these cells got. They're right here. If this copper is getting hot enough to flake off and change color, that means these are at a really high temperature as well. And this was used within spec on the datasheet. What if you didn't? What if you used surge loads? So which side's worse, this connection with these loose or the positive terminal? I think this might be worse. Also, there's heat damage all the way to these screws. And these cells are discolored. And look at the BMS. It discolored the heatsink and the plug. And again, this has nothing to do with the positive terminal. This is another bad design. The tightness of this terminal is dependent on this plastic not deforming. And over time, some of my viewers were saying with plastic flow, this will always deform. It's not if, but when. And same is true over here. I mean, look at the charring in here. Discoloration of these metals is crazy. Even the plastic that the BMS is on melted. That was a lot of heat. I think this is worse than the positive terminal issue. Also, this is not a strenuous test. Take any battery on the market rated for 100 amps and charge and discharge with 100 amps and it will not do this. And for some people, they're not testing it very hard. But 30 cycles at the rated current capacity and it can't even do that without smoking into a charred oblivion? That is not okay. This was a brand new battery, and it did this after 30 cycles. If you have one of these batteries, strongly consider swapping it up for a higher quality battery. This is not okay. Last week, I drove 2,000 miles in the snow to pick up 15 dysfunctional Battleborn batteries.
Spoiler alert, those 15 batteries, yeah, you could take a wild guess how they tested. I'm not going to keep playing his stuff because he has literal hours of videos going over this, but I'm hoping that you get the point by now.
And what's driving me crazy is I'm proving this problem over and over again. And guess what Battleborn Batteries posted? A public statement about this issue. They said that Battleborn remains fully confident in the safety, reliability, and quality of the batteries our customers rely on every day. We understand that questions about battery safety are important, and we take those seriously by evaluating them through data, testing, and field performance. Some online commentary has raised concerns based on isolated demonstrations and theoretical scenarios that do not reflect how our products are designed, built, and installed and operated in customer systems. I just melted one of your batteries with 60 amps. It's rated for 100 amps. It's a safety issue, and this response is ridiculous. You guys are pathetic. This company is a liability to anybody that buys their products. I can make this happen on any battery anytime. You can reproduce it in a brand new battery. I've done it twice now with not that much current. I have all of my data public for my cycle testing machine and everything else. And links for that are under each individual video, so please check it out if you want to learn more.
Let's get to some parts of this lawsuit now. Prowse also tested batteries after removing the lid, which removed a critical structural component of the failsafe and invalidated his results. Removal of the battery's lid allowed Prowse to conduct a staged demonstration in his video, where he physically manipulated the battery's terminal clamp to force an electrical arc, and then reacted on camera with theatrical excitement. Woo, that was a big arc, instead of acknowledging Dragonfly's explanation in the technical note of the flaw in his testing. The company claims that when the lid is removed from a damaged pack, the brass terminal is no longer affixed by the epoxy bond to the structure. With the terminal free to move, the torque from the attached cables drives continuous relative motion between the brass terminal and the aluminum bolt. The result is repeated arcing as is briefly interrupted and reestablished at each new contact point. This appears dramatically schematic on video, but it is an artifact of the disassembly, not a characteristic of the intact assembly. Now, if this is only occurring as a result of him opening the unit, the question that I would have is, why do these units look so cooked before he's actually opened them? The battery that started the series read 250 Fahrenheit at the terminal and showed heat discolored epoxy while still sealed. Prowse displays the discoloration on camera before opening the unit, which can also be seen in this video. He then bought a new 100 amp hour unit with his own money and cycled it sealed, within the datasheet's ratings. Its case melted at the negative side after 30 cycles, a controlled test that Hackaday covered in print. After letting the battery cool down and trying again with an 80 amp discharge current, the negative terminal side of the enclosure began to melt. His instrumented 75 amp hour test cycle ran the battery sealed for its entire 99-hour life and opens it only after it died. So they're saying that the reason that it's having this issue is because you opened the battery, but he opened the battery because they looked like they were melting. Are you kidding? This has to be a joke. Let's go over the rest of their nitpicking on his statements. He said, and when I tested it within spec as well. The lawyer's response to this is, Prowse's testing is intentionally misleading. The battery arrived from a viewer who was already experiencing charging problems, making any within spec claim about its condition impossible to verify and the starting condition of the battery unknown. He's not making a claim that the battery was within spec when he got it. His claim was that he was testing it within specification, which brings me to the point that pisses me off more than anything else. Let's go to the part of this lawsuit that you deserve to have something shoved up your ass. Prowse's testing is intentionally abusive and invalid. The abuses demonstrated in the video and accompanying released data include that the charge current was simultaneously 49 amps, 30% over the 37.5 maximum specified. And now, you are cooked. This is why you should have dropped that lawsuit on Friday, my friend. You feel that, don't you? Right through your suit. The heat is on, Dennis, and I'm not talking about your batteries. Where's he getting these numbers from? So if I go to Battleborn's website and I scroll down, and I look for the datasheet, and I go for the specifications. Let's see if I could find myself a datasheet on this battery. Documentation. Man, let's go for a datasheet. What do I see? I'm going to scroll down to the datasheet in the battery in question, and it says max charge current, 37.5 amps. Now, was it always like this? I'm not really sure. I don't know if I can trust a company like this. What happens in the Wayback Machine? Oh, wait, they're not on the Wayback Machine. Damn, I guess I can't check and see if they ever had a different number over there. Oh, you feel that, don't you? Right through your suit, my friend. Let's check another vendor. Defender, Battleborn BB1275. We scroll down, and we're going to go over here to datasheet. Now, what happens when we click datasheet? This is a Battleborn battery datasheet for the BB1275, and when I scroll down to max charge current, what number do I see here, asshole? 50 fucking amps! Don't gaslight me, asshole! I told you that the entire fucking internet was gonna comb through and find every single area where you've got something wrong. I gave you legitimate warning to scrub everything. I didn't even start looking until Friday. You lazy, lazy fuck. I'm not even mad at the fact that you lie. I'm not mad at the fact that you produce bad products. I'm mad at how bad you are at covering it up. This is the thing for me. I'm still mad that you did something wrong. And, this is why I made these no AI slop rules, because people would keep writing me emails that were written by AI. I'm not necessarily as mad at the fact that people are writing me AI-generated emails. I'm mad at how fucking lazy they are to not take 5 seconds to make it not look like they cheated. You make over $600,000 a year, sir, and your company loses $40 to $70 million a year. You have shareholders' equity of somewhere like $10 or $11 million. You're probably going to be gone in 3 months. You're lucky if you make it a year. $600,000 a year, I would expect that the CEO at least be able to lie. But maybe that's what's happening with inflation. Maybe that's what happened after COVID and the Iran war and everything else. Maybe you need 7 figures to get a CEO that can lie worth a shit. This is fucking ridiculous. And when you read through the rest of this document, they start to imply that because Will had an affiliate arrangement that went away, that maybe that's why he's saying bad things about the batteries now. We had an arrangement with him from 2019 until 2025, and then it ended and he started making bad videos. But what they're implying there doesn't even make any sense. Of course, if a company's products start to suck, I'm going to stop recommending them. And this is something that I've been doing for a very long time on my own channel. As I write, Dragonfly's theory of motive is that Prowse turns in the batteries only after the money stopped. The dated record, including their pleading, is more complicated. Prowse first tore down a Battleborn battery in November 2019 and praised it. The complaint, quotes him from that video. This passes all tests. Okay, finally we have a good battery. I can actually recommend it. Dragonfly pleads that an affiliate relationship ran from January 2019 to October 2025, that it paid Prowse a total of about $206,000 over those years, and that it deactivated his affiliate link on October of 2025. But the complaint's own chronology doesn't line up cleanly with the criticism only after the deal ended. Dragonfly pleads that in August of 2025, Prowse began posting negative comments about Battleborn and began asking his forum members to send him defective or failed Battleborn batteries, and that it deactivated his affiliate link on October of 2025 in response to growing negativity. On Dragonfly's own pleading, then, the criticism began when the affiliate relationship was still in place. Will ended the relationship because of the criticism, not the other way around. I do this on my channel all the time. Hacko was making good products, so I told you the tools I use and why I bought them, and I talked a lot about them and I evangelized them. And then they started, price go up, the quality go down, and there were competitors that came out that were way better. So I showed you just how poorly their $900 product worked against a $300 product. And then when they started that, we're not going to give you schematics so you can fix something that we don't even sell anymore, that was when I said, okay, fuck this company, don't buy their stuff. When it comes to Repair Shopper, that was a great program that I used to use. I walked you through how to use it. I had no affiliate arrangement at the time with them. I was not getting paid by them to recommend them. And they made a really good piece of software. And they kept updating that software to have new features. So I told you why you should use it. And then they got sold to somebody else. They changed their terms to say that there is a bunch of new data collection and training on AI. And half of the time, this shit didn't even work. So I told people not to use it. This is normal. When companies get shittier, you stop telling people to buy their products. So Will Prowse had an affiliate relationship with them. They started selling garbage. Will Prowse decided not to have an affiliate relationship with them. Like, it's not that hard to understand. They're trying to make it sound like we stopped paying Will, so Will started saying mean things about us, when in reality, he decided that he was not going to tell his audience to use your products because they were bad. Now, they do quote him saying that he's going to make more money recommending people somewhere else. And that is true. If I am telling people that this product is $600 and it's not great, and I get 10% of the commissions, this product is good, it's $300 and I get 10% of the commissions, which one am I going to sell more of? Which one is going to get me more affiliate revenue? Obviously, this one. Recommending your audience buy a better product means more people are going to buy it, which means more money for you. There's nothing sinister there. That's just basic fucking common sense. I have 97 emails in my inbox right now. 97 emails just about your company, going over every single thing that I have yet to put in that wiki article. And it's all going to be in that wiki article because I see what you're doing. You know that this class action lawsuit is likely going to sink you. Because you know that that class action lawsuit is going to sink you, you need to discredit these people so that when they testify, they look biased or they look like a hostile witness. You need to get rid of Will Prowse so that he can't testify in that lawsuit against you. And we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to allow Will Prowse's credibility to be dragged through the mud. Yours should be. Will Prowse is not the one that has two products with the exact same model number that have two separate capacities listed on two separate data sheets on two separate websites. You are. Will Prowse is not the one that is pruning archive.org of their content. You are. Or maybe, I'm open to the idea, if I'm being wrong, I'm open to the idea that maybe it's just a coincidence that every battery company that sells piece of shit products and lies to their users doesn't have a record in archive.org. Maybe you didn't ask for it to be taken down. You're cooked. When I read this lawsuit, they're implying that Will started bad-mouthing their products because they stopped getting paid, rather than Will decided, I don't care about your affiliate revenue anymore because your products suck. And again, products can go down in quality over time. You may have heard of this term called enshittification on this channel. It's not just software and in cloud stuff. It's virtually everything nowadays. Now, let's say that you don't believe me. Let's say that I have no credibility. Fuck me. I hate this guy, asshole with the blue polo shirt. And let's say that you hate Will Prowse. Fuck Will Prowse. Clickbait asshole YouTuber trying to monetize. Fuck him. Fuck Will Prowse. Let's say that you hate all of us. Would you believe Dragonfly Energy? Something important to go over here is something called warranty obligations. This is something you're going to see in their SEC filings. Now, to be clear, this is subjective, not objective. I can't tell you why it is they made this decision. I'm just going to read you my interpretation of it. SEC filings have something called warranty obligations. I run a repair shop. It's not publicly traded, so I don't have to do this. But if I were publicly traded, I'd have to put something there that says, here's how much money I expect I may have to pay out in the next few years for warranty. So people come to my store and they get things fixed by me. If there's, let's say I think maybe 10 screens fail every year, the screen is $300 a piece, and I pay maybe $30 in labor for somebody to do it, I may put, I think I may have $800 in warranty liability there. Now, when I take a look at this, here's what I see. Their warranty obligations from 2023 to 2025 went from about 300 million to around 500 million to around 800 million. That's a very big increase in 3 years. And what I also notice is that the revenue seems to be going down. So revenue fell from 64.4 million to 58.6 million. So this cannot be explained by them saying, well, we sold so many more batteries, of course we're just going to have more warranty claims because they're selling more batteries. Their revenue is down, but the warranty obligations are up. Now, the way I interpret this is that people who work for Dragonfly Energy, people who are writing this report, in my opinion, do not have the highest of confidence in their products. If I did less repairs this year than last year, I did less work, less sales, but I thought I'm going to have more people coming back for warranty, what does that say about the stability and quality of those repairs and my confidence that I have in them? They have some reason to believe, in my opinion, based on their own writing, that there's some reason that their batteries are all going to start coming back for warranty. And I don't think that reason is they assume that consumer protection law is getting more strict in America, because that sure is fucking happening anytime soon. In my opinion, I'll leave it at that, because again, I can't read people's minds. I believe they're writing that because they believe that their own batteries are shit. I told you to drop that fucking lawsuit last week. You didn't. I guarantee you, the entire internet is going to be digging through every single data sheet, every single thing you've ever said, every single product you've ever created, every single engineer. Engineers can be very autistic in nature, and more importantly, people who are autistic in nature, they really don't like scammers. They don't like people that make shit up. Above all, they don't like people that make shit up while selling unsafe products. I would suggest that you do a recall program on all of these, but I understand why you can't. It looks like stockholders' equity in this company is about $10 or $11 million, and you appear to lose $40 to $60 million a year. This company is cooked. One way or another, they're done. It doesn't matter how this lawsuit even goes. Even if this lawsuit went perfectly, you can't exist if you have 10 or 20 or $30 million in the bank and you lose 40 to 60 a year. There's no saving this. The only thing that I think could be saved here and salvaged is the reputation of the CEO. You have the choice to bow down gracefully, accept that it's over, and move on. It's over. It's just a question of whether or not you are going to take down your reputation along with you. Admit the wrongdoings. Admit that you took the wrong path. Do a mea culpa. People forgive. But if you don't give them an opportunity to forgive, they're not going to forget. I'll make sure of that one. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.